Episode 1 of Rivals Season 2 opens with Sarah and BT launching their new celebrity expose show Uncensored, while Tony recovers from his accident. We then flash back to the night itself, where Cameron hit Tony over the head with an award before running to Rupert for help. A few days later, Rupert has vanished, Corinium is in chaos, and everyone assumes he's off on one of his usual sexual escapades. In reality, he's hiding away with Cameron, promising to protect her from Tony as they consider fleeing to America. Tony is soon discharged from hospital and lies to Monica and the police, claiming he remembers nothing. Monica clearly doesn't believe him, especially after seeing him meet with Ginger, who still has the bloody award. Tony orders him to find Cameron, knowing she must be with Rupert. Meanwhile, Freddy hosts friends at his new mansion, where the Ventura crowd prepare for their big polo broadcast. Declan also tries to sell the BBC his Yeats documentary, which is obviously inspired by Maud. He later visits her after her show, and the pair briefly reconnect, until she realises he never actually watched her performance and throws him out naked. Tony eventually tracks down Cameron and Rupert's hideaway, arriving by helicopter while Rupert is out cycling. He gives Cameron a choice: prison or loyalty. She returns to Corinium and appears to back Tony, delivering a big speech about bringing Ventura down. Rupert rushes to Declan for help, but Freddy and Declan point out that Cameron made her choice. At the polo match, Cameron initially ignores Ventura, giving Tony a temporary ego boost. Rupert's team wins, while Taggy watches from the sidelines, still heartbroken over her kiss with Rupert. Lizzie notices and warns her that Rupert is not worth the pain. A Tony's day quickly falls apart. Sarah refuses to take part in his skydiving stunt and reveals she's pregnant, prompting Tony to tell her to get an abortion. BT already knows too, meaning that secret is unlikely to stay buried for long. Cameron then makes her real move. During the broadcast, she gets Tony to publicly say that he slipped and hit his head, meaning he can no longer accuse her without exposing himself as a liar. She then quits Corinium and crosses over to Rupert, kissing him in front of everyone. The replacement skydiver, Deirdre, also crashes badly after getting caught in a tree, giving Ventura another major broadcast moment. That evening, Ventura celebrates at Declan's house. While Tony's problems keep multiplying, Sarah tells him he is the father of her baby, and Monica warns him to stop embarrassing the family. At the party, Taggy is crushed when Rupert asks Cameron to move in with him. She confronts him, calling the guy soulless, but Rupert simply says he was trying to be honourable and should never have kissed her. The episode ends with Lizzie reflecting that love brings war and there will always be casualties. Sure enough, Rupert and Cameron return home to find Tony waiting for them. He hands Cameron the bloodstained award and warns that his revenge will be worse than anything they could ever imagine. Episode 2 of Rivals Season 2 opens with Rupert juggling his campaign, Cameron and his children, and not especially well. Helen catches him and Cameron together after he forgets it's his weekend with Marcus and Tabitha, and the kids are not exactly thrilled about their dad's new girlfriend. Tony meanwhile takes Sarah to lunch after learning she's pregnant. He has no intention of blowing up his marriage to Monica, so he threatens to destroy Sarah's career if she doesn't get an abortion. Sarah tries pushing back, but Tony quickly makes it clear she's badly outmatched. At home, Paul is obsessing over the election and asks Sarah to host a dinner party so he can get closer to Tony and secure more media coverage. Sarah agrees, but secretly hires Taggy to cook for the evening. Elsewhere, Cameron and Rupert bring the kids to Declan's house for a Ventura meeting, while Declan gets good news from the BBC. They're actually interested in developing his Yeats documentary, though Cameron worries about the budget when he insists on scouting locations in Ireland. Rupert quietly encourages Declan to take Cameron with him, mostly so he can spend some time with his children. Lizzie also visits Taggy and runs into Freddy, which Rupert immediately notices. When he asks whether they slept together, Lizzie admits that they did, but insists it was a mistake. She points out that, unlike Rupert, she actually respects rules when other people could get hurt. The next day, Declan and Cameron leave for Ireland. Rupert believes Tony is finished coming after them, but that confidence may be wildly misplaced. Meanwhile, Tabitha runs away instead of saying goodbye to Cameron and ends up with Taggy, who comforts her. Rupert finds them together and invites Taggy for tea, but she turns him down. That evening, Sarah's dinner party turns into complete chaos. Taggy ruins the beef stew, so Rupert secretly brings over a replacement from the restaurant. From there, the kitchen becomes a revolving door of hidden guests, awkward conversations and near discoveries, with Rupert, Taggy, James, Tony and even Paul all ending up concealed at different points. Amidst the chaos, James asks Sarah about the pregnancy rumours and learns the baby is not actually his, which Lizzie overhears. Rupert also directly asks Sarah if he is the father, but she firmly says no. Later, Tony corners Sarah again and orders her to get an abortion, threatening to fire her if she doesn't sort this quickly. Unfortunately for him, Paul overhears the whole thing. What an absolute mess. Now after the party, gossip spreads quickly. Monica and her friends mock the fact that Sarah hired Taggy to cook, while Rupert continues spending more time around his children. And, by extension, Taggy. She grows closer to Marcus and Tabitha, and when Rupert watches her with them, it's obvious his feelings for her are getting harder to ignore. Now at Corinium, Paul uses Tony's morning show to announce that he and Sarah are expecting a baby. Tony is furious at this, especially as the public announcement means Sarah can no longer quietly have an abortion. That evening, he kicks her off, uncensored. As Sarah confronts Paul, accusing him of trapping her before storming out. Now at the same time, Ginger tells Tony everything is ready for that night, suggesting Tony's next move is already in motion. Now on the drive home, Rupert admits to Taggy that he failed Helen during their marriage and doesn't want to hurt another woman again. He's clearly talking about Taggy here, but before the moment can go any further, Sarah arrives in tears, telling Rupert she has nowhere else to go. Declan and Cameron also return from Ireland with good news. The BBC has greenlit the Yeats documentary and want it finished within 3 months. The episode then ends at Rupert's house, where Sarah asks him about Taggy. They sit down to watch the latest episode of Uncensored, expecting Tony and BT to target Sarah. Instead, Tony turns his attack against Rupert. Episode 3 of Rivals Season 2 opens with BT publicly exposing Rupert's sexual past on Uncensored, questioning whether he's even fit to stand as a Conservative candidate. Sarah is dragged into the scandal too, with her affair with Rupert revealed, while Tony also targets Taggy in an obvious attempt to damage Rupert's friendship with Declan. With the election only a day away, Rupert's team spiral into panic. The next morning, Gerald finds him drunk, dishevelled and hiding at home with Cameron and Sarah, while journalists swarm outside. Rupert, however, is less worried about the election and more concerned about Helen, especially after BT aired private clips of him talking about her and making cruel comments about other women. Now Rupert heads to Helen's house but finds Malise instead. Realising Rupert is drunk and self-destructing, Malise literally hoses him down before giving him the tough love speech he badly needs. That finally snaps Rupert back into focus and he heads to the election centre. Meanwhile, Monica is embarrassed by Tony's public attack on Rupert and tells him to stop the feud. Tony tries to play happy husband by giving her peacocks as an anniversary present and agreeing to spend election night with her at the theatre. At Ventura, the fallout is already brutal. The BBC pulls its offer on Declan's Yeats documentary, investors threaten to walk, and the franchise bid is suddenly in danger. Some even want Rupert removed completely, especially with the Japanese investor ready to cover his stake. Cameron defends him, but the team eventually decide to vote on whether he should stay. Now over at Corinium, Tony prepares for the election broadcast with BT and James. He also introduces Menzies, a new IBA board member, who questions whether Tony was right to release the Rupert expose on election evening. Tony pretends it was simply his civic duty, but no one is really buying that. Elsewhere, Maud calls Declan after landing a surprise chance to lead her show for one night. Declan can't leave because of the crisis at Ventura, which disappoints her. Unfortunately for him, Tony and Monica attend the performance instead, and Monica is so impressed that she convinces Tony to cast Maud in Corinium's upcoming production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Naturally, they know this will cause trouble in Declan's marriage. Now Freddie visits Lizzie for advice about Rupert, and she tells him friends should give people another chance. Their connection deepens as they talk about their unhappy marriages, though Freddie is later reminded of his own family problems when he finds Valerie preparing their son for Eton. Wayne admits he is only going because it makes his mother happy. And that night the election results come in. Paul keeps his seat, and against expectations, Rupert also wins his constituency. Cameron tells Sarah she should return to Paul if she still wants to save her marriage, while Rupert and his team celebrate through the night. Not everyone is pleased though. Tony happens to be furious, Helen and Melise argue over Melise helping Rupert, and James continues to ignore Deirdre, leaving her hurt. Lizzie is also unimpressed when James comes home and immediately wants sex. The next morning Sarah returns home to Paul and apologises, while Gerald and Charles continue their plan to use Muffy to advance Gerald's career. Cameron also confesses her love to Rupert, but his response is not what she hoped for. Before they can properly deal with it, Rupert is summoned to meet Margaret Thatcher. The episode then ends with Rupert resigning after that meeting. He then learns that Ventura has kicked him out too. Tony is delighted, believing he's finally won, but Melise's warning lingers. Rupert now has nothing left to lose, which may make him more dangerous than ever before. Episode 4 of Rivals Season 2 opens with Corinium preparing for Maud's arrival as she begins work on their new production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Tony rolls out the red carpet, complete with photographers, and Maud clearly enjoys being treated like a star. Declan, however, finds out through Charles and is furious, especially as Maud later kicks him out of their bed. James is also involved in the play, though he spends most of his time belittling Lizzie and flirting with one of the actresses. Lizzie tries to tell him about the bidding war for her new book, but James barely listens and then accuses her of not supporting his career. Meanwhile, Declan and Cameron meet Channel 4's Clara to secure support for the Yeats documentary. Tony tries to sabotage the meeting and bait Declan into a fight, but Cameron stops him from rising to it. She insists they attend Maud's opening night instead, showing Tony they are above his games. Rupert, meanwhile, retreats to the farm. Taggy runs into him while walking her dog, but he's quieter than usual. Gerald tells Rupert he's thinking of running for his old seat, and Rupert gives him his blessing. Cameron invites Rupert to the play, but he refuses. His own family problems soon worsen when Tabitha runs away to see him after Helen bans her from visiting. Rupert takes her home, but Helen makes it clear she wants full custody, arguing that Rupert's scandals have made life miserable for both her and the children. Elsewhere, Freddie skips the play to read one of Lizzie's novels by the pool, while Caitlin skips it to spend time with Archie. She initially hopes to lose her virginity, but later decides she's not ready, and Archie kindly suggests that they just play a game instead. Now, before the play, Maud and Declan clash. He accuses her of letting Tony use her against him, while Maud insists she is thinking about her own career. The argument rattles her confidence, but Tony reassures her, saying he hired her because she's talented, though annoying Declan is admittedly a bonus. He also offers her a lead role in the new season of Four Men Went to Mow. Maud ends up giving a brilliant performance, moving many in the audience to tears, which includes Declan. For Taggy, the play's sad love story only deepens her loneliness, while Lizzie finally admits to herself that she has feelings for Freddie. She goes to his house, where they end up sleeping together. Back at the theatre, James tries to arrange a fling with one of the actresses, but Deirdre intercepts the note and eats it. James then takes a nasty fall and passes out, forcing Charles to step into the role of Bottom. To everyone's surprise, Charles is actually much better than James. Lizzie and Freddie are interrupted when Sharon returns home early, upset because she feels unloved by her mother. Freddie comforts her beautifully, and when Sharon says she wants a relationship like her parents have, Lizzie is left feeling deeply guilty. Now, after the play, Gerald finds Charles crying and learns that his mother died that morning. Muffy then interrupts to announce they have chosen a wedding date, pulling Gerald away from the person he actually wants to comfort. Now at the party, Declan congratulates Maud and asks her to come to Ireland with him, but she takes it as another sign that he expects her to sacrifice her career for his. She publicly tears into him and announces Tony's new offer, leaving Declan feeling humiliated. Meanwhile, Monica notices Lizzie's wet hair and mentions that James vanished during Act 2. Lizzie finds him regaining consciousness backstage, where he's mostly disappointed that the play continued without him. Paul continues enjoying his election success and Sarah's pregnancy, and Tony rewards him by asking him to join the Corinium board. Taggy meanwhile gets drunk at Basil's bar and admits she feels doomed never to find love. Basil gently encourages her not to give up, but when she gets home and learns Maud is not coming back that night, she lashes out at Declan and men in general. The next morning, Lizzie and Freddie agree their affair has to stop before too many people get hurt. Charles holds a touching funeral for his mother, surrounded by friends, while Rupert promises Declan he will make up for his mistakes. The episode ends with Maud meeting Tony in his office for what's supposed to be an audition. However, after her electric performance, and with Monica refusing to sleep with him, Tony clearly has other ideas. Maud plays along, fully aware of what he wants. Episode 5 of Rivals Season 2 opens in Ireland, where Declan and Cameron clash during filming for the Yeats documentary. Cameron warns him not to take his marriage problems out on the crew, but the pair eventually apologise and a mutual attraction begins to build between them. Back home, Gerald wins Rupert's old MP seat, while Rupert manages to convince Jeremy at the BBC to give Ventura a 1-hour special. Declan and Cameron are suspicious that Rupert is trying to sneak back into the company, but the opportunity is just too good to reject. They decide to make it a competition show between Declan and Rupert. Meanwhile, Maud's career at Corinium continues to rise with Tony's full support. Their affair is also heating up, though Tony still insists on filming a public show with Monica about their perfect marriage. Monica clearly suspects what is happening, but rather than confront him, she simply asks him to move out of their bed. Tony spends the night with Maud and opens up about his childhood here, including how his father destroyed his camera and discouraged his love of television. Maud later gives him a new camera, which only deepens their affair. Elsewhere, Tony blocks Freddie from buying a piece of land he wanted to give his daughter, pushing Freddie closer to Ventura. Rupert also learns that everyone's forgotten Taggy's 21st birthday, so he buys her a puppy, only to find Basil has already arranged a birthday dinner for her. In Ireland, Declan admits he's tempted to cheat on Maud for the first time, and then sleeps with Cameron. Back home, Maud apologises to Taggy for forgetting her birthday, but Taggy calls her out for always making everything dramatic before inviting her to the Ventura filming. The Ventura shareholders are nervous about letting Rupert near the franchise again, but Declan and Freddie ask them to at least judge the show first. Valerie then tells Monica that her children are at the filming, prompting Monica to rush over before Tony finds out. However, Enid persuades her to stay when she learns her favourite tennis player is involved. The filming turns out to be a huge success. Everyone has fun, Declan's team wins, and he kisses Maud on camera, which unsettles both Maud and Cameron. BT also shows up, but even she fails to ruin the day. By the end, everyone is praising Rupert for the idea, and Monica even agrees to give him another chance. Lizzie and Freddie remain awkward around each other, with Lizzie telling Rupert to stop playing Cupid because she can't ignore the guilt. Cameron also encourages Patrick to travel and chase his dream of writing a play, rather than continuing to pine after her. And at the party, Declan apologises to Maud and asks for another chance, though she says they need to properly discuss their marriage later. The next day, the family finally throw Taggy a small birthday party. Maud receives her magazine interview along with a note from Tony, but the celebration is interrupted when Dommy rushes in and reveals that someone has stolen the tapes from Ventura's show. Declan immediately storms over to Tony's house, accusing him of taking them. Tony denies everything, but after Declan leaves, he dances around the house while destroying the tapes, making it very clear that he was behind it all. Episode 6 of Rivals Season 2 opens with Archie returning home and printing photos in his darkroom. He's waiting for Caitlin and is so distracted that he doesn't notice the naked pictures of Maud among the prints. Caitlin arrives and the pair end up having sex. Monica soon comes home, forcing Caitlin to hide in the darkroom, where she discovers the photos and realises Maud is having an affair with Tony. When Monica later finds the pictures too, she's devastated but quietly burns them and invites Caitlin to stay for dinner. Meanwhile, Lizzie encourages Taggy to stay open to love, arriving unexpectedly, though it's clear she's really talking about herself and Freddie. Taggy, of course, is still trying to suppress her feelings for Rupert. At dinner, Archie finally snaps and confronts Tony about Maud. Monica can no longer pretend everything is fine and walks out into the storm, despite Corinium's earlier insistence that no major storm was coming. Tony lashes out at Archie while Caitlin watches the family fall apart in front of her. Elsewhere, things between Declan and Maud appear to be improving. He helps her with her script, they watch the Yeats documentary together, and later they make love. Declan even admits he was tempted by Cameron, but says he never slept with her, confessing his devotion to Maud, unaware that she has been unfaithful with Tony. Monica meanwhile goes to Lizzie's house and asks if she has plans to leave James for Freddie. Lizzie admits she loves Freddie, but feels trapped by duty, her children, and the social cost of breaking up her marriage. The conversation helps Monica realise she's done forgiving Tony's affairs and sacrificing her own happiness. She returns home through the storm and asks Tony for a divorce. Tony begs for another chance, but Monica refuses. She says she can no longer forgive him, especially for using Maud to hurt Declan, and calls him disgusting. At the same time, Taggy finds one of Rupert's horses loose in a storm and brings it back. Cameron is clearly unhappy to see her, especially when Rupert struggles to hide his affection. He offers to drive Taggy home, but as the storm worsens, she asks him to stay the night. Tony then calls Maud, warning her that Caitlin and Archie slept together and that Monica is on her way to expose their affair. Maud has no chance to confess though, because Declan is already furious about Caitlin and Archie. His anger only deepens when he finds Rupert having tea with Taggy. Back at Tony's house, Tony apologises to Archie and promises he will fix things with Monica. However, Monica and Caitlin never arrive. With the phone lines down and the storm raging, Declan and Rupert go out searching for them. They eventually find a bloodied Caitlin walking for help. A tree has fallen in the road, causing Monica to crash the car. Declan takes Caitlin home, while Rupert is forced to deliver the terrible news in person. Elsewhere, Monica's words push Lizzie to a decision. She drives to Freddie's house, confesses her love, and he asks her not to give up on him. The two kiss secretly in the garden. The episode then ends with Tony learning that Monica has died in the accident. Overwhelmed with grief, he breaks down, finally faced with the cost of everything that he's done. And as we fade to credits, the first part of Rivals Season 2 comes to an agonising close. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.